Good morning, I'm Carolyn Brooke.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Thanks for waking up with us here on this Thursday morning. We'll get to the top stories coming up in just a few minutes. But first, let's get a look at your local forecast. Here's Larry.
If you enjoyed the weather yesterday, you will love it today. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. Temperatures this afternoon into the low 90s. There may be a couple stray thunderstorms out there, and it's certainly not a complete washout. Even at midnight, we're in the upper 70s. Checking the 7-day forecast today and tomorrow, we're in the low 90s. With the heat index, it'll feel more like about 100 degrees over the upcoming weekend. Storm chances do increase. Some of the effects from Laura can be felt across the Carolinas. Sunday, the better day of the weekend. Then we are in the mid to upper 80s Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. And that's your forecast this morning, Ben.
Speaking of Laura, Larry, this morning the hurricane now wreaking havoc on the Gulf Coast. Wake Up Charlotte's Jay Gray is in Lake Charles, Louisiana this morning, where the storm made landfall overnight. Jay.
Conditions on the ground here in Lake Charles very intense, and this is the backside of Laura as it moves through this city that's been battered for hours. We got a bit of a break when the eye came through, but it didn't last very long, and this storm just as intense as we now encounter some of the back of the eye wall as it again continues to move to the north, and ultimately it'll turn and head out towards the east. Tens of thousands already without power here. The water is building as well, and the wind has ripped down trees. We've got reports of some buildings that have been severely damaged, and we're still going to see this for another couple of hours here in Lake Charles. That's the latest on the ground at this point. I'm Jay Gray. Carolyn, back to you now.
Wow. It is almost impossible to even decipher what Jay is saying. That is how powerful Hurricane Laura is. And we're seeing the damage reports and videos all over social media as well. So thinking and praying about everyone in the line of this storm and hoping that they do stay safe. From Lake Charles, Louisiana, where Jay was just reporting from, that's where we are seeing a lot of different videos. This is skyscraper buildings that are gutted, windows ripped from the side of it, reports of glass and debris flying everywhere, and just how strong these winds are. Even an RV getting knocked over like it is a toy, light as a feather. Also, damage reports are coming out of Texas. Ferocious winds reportedly whipping through neighborhoods near Beaumont. And we have a video from the eye wall of a tree that is basically laying flat. The sheer size of this storm showing from this above ground picture right before it made landfall. Forecasters are now saying that this is the strongest storm to hit Louisiana since they started keeping track back in 1850. So we will continue to keep everybody posted on this storm as we get through today and see the damage as well that it continues to leave behind. Guys, back to you.
All right, Rachel, thanks.
Today, a team will talk about what it takes to get CMS students back into the classroom. Made up of CMS leadership, teachers, and Health County officials. They're going to start laying out groundwork for a hybrid learning system. Superintendent Ernest Winston says the district will use that then to try and prepare for in-person learning.
More controversy this morning over newly released body camera footage. CMPD releasing over 50 clips from the June protest over the death of George Floyd. That is when demonstrators say they were gassed by officers. CMPD gave dispersal orders, but only minutes later, officers were given the plan to surround protesters. CMPD says officers didn't do anything wrong, but the incident did lead to some changes in department policy.
Today, President Trump will officially accept the nomination as the Republican nominee for president. It is the fourth and final day of the Republican National Convention. Vice President Mike Pence took the podium last night.
3 professional sports leagues calling for change following the police shooting of Jacob Blake in Wisconsin. The NBA's Milwaukee Bucks decided not to take to the floor for Game 5 of their playoff series against Orlando. The WNBA and MLB also postponing their games.
Today, Charlotte Douglas workers will fight to save their jobs. Airline workers are expected to rally outside of Senator Thom Tillis's Charlotte office, demanding an extension of the CARES Act. That's federal aid act that gave money to airlines to keep employees on. Thousands of North Carolinians will lose their jobs, though, in October when the airlines stop receiving that federal aid. That's your Morning Rush. More news in less time.
All right, time now to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. Republicans are accused of breaking an obscure federal law during their convention this week. It's a law designed to keep cabinet secretaries from being involved in overtly political activities. And when we applied that same standard to both parties, it brings us to a case a few years ago. Where else? Right here in Charlotte.
The Hatch Act, a law dating back to the 1930s, which was rarely broken.
until recently. Let's connect the dots. The law tries to draw boundaries between taxpayer-funded top-level government jobs and a political campaign, which most of us can agree is a good thing. By the way, the president and vice president are excluded. But this week, for the first time in history, we've seen both the sitting Secretary of State and Secretary of Homeland Security speak at a political convention. Thinking to yourself, it doesn't seem like a big deal. Well, back in 2012, Republicans were outraged over Obama Cabinet Secretary Kathleen Sebelius, all for one low-profile speech she gave where else? Right here in Charlotte. At a gay rights fundraiser, she gave what was considered a campaign speech and not one focused on government business. Seems mild by today's standards, but she was forced to repay all costs from the trip. And Republicans, now supporting President Trump, called for her resignation. And that is connecting the dots.
Now to some stories to help keep you and your family safe and sound today. If your head is constantly pounding and you're sick of dealing with your boss, maybe even your family members, you're not alone. In fact, North Carolina, one of about a dozen states where doctors are seeing a big spike in what they're calling stress headaches. Experts say the stress and anxiety of the pandemic is just causing more migraines. Some of the factors: changing your bedtime and adjusting to new routines. Makes sense.
Americans foregoing comfort on the toilet, of all places, to save some cash during the pandemic. A new study found switching to one-ply toilet paper one of the ways people are pinching pennies right now. Others say they are growing their own vegetables and eating lots of leftovers.
Those are very different things, don't you think?
People are being very industrious and trying out some new things.
Okay, well, I think you should not skimp on toilet paper.
I would agree on that.
I mean, I understand.
Treat yourself. It's 2020. You and your backside deserve it.
Well, for a while, it was all you could get.
That is very true. And I will say this, sometimes one-ply and two-ply, there's not much of a difference.
Right. That's why we need 3-ply.
Just get it up to 4.
Whatever it is.
Really treat yourself.
I think, part of the platform for the presidency should be no more one-ply.
Get it out of
Honestly,
here.
something we can all get on board with.
I was going to say that will unite us all. All right, make sure you watch us each and every morning for some brilliant stories, just like the one we talked about, starting up at 4.
Brilliant dialogue, too, and conversation.
Wipe away your smiles, please.
Oh, geez, you went there.
What? Me?
Never.